Hello, I am the very model of a modern Major General, Dan Upton. Welcome to the Doomcast. We're talking the deadliest weapons in comics. Let's get started. So, if you watched part 1, good for you. If you didn't, go watch that first and then come back to this. Otherwise, let's start with number 7. Number 7 is Shanhara, the armor in Exo Man of War. Eric of Dacia was abducted by aliens for probably the first person in history to be abducted by aliens in 400 AD, making him the ultimate hipster in UFO circles. He and thousands of other Visigoths from Earth were made to serve an alien race called the Vine on slave ships until Eric bonded with his suit of sentient, intelligent, living armor named Shanhara. Worshipped by the Vine, it's capable of interstellar flight. It can rarely ever be removed from the wearer after it's actually been bonded. It can create concussive blasts and melee energy weapons like this. It's almost indestructible. Oh, look! Oh, yeah, I forgot. Shanhara's on my shirt. Hey, Valiant, I'm a huge fan. Send me lots of free stuff. Thanks, Global Chem. Gradually, Eric, or whoever's wearing that armor, will fuse with it completely, becoming one being until Eric dies or it finds another host. Until then, he's pretty much impossible to kill, like I've said, but really effective at making everything else in his path really not alive. Born by heroes like Quasar, Marble Boy, the original Mar-Vell, Captain Marvel, and others, the Quantum Bands and Negabands are weapons of incredible power. They let the user teleport through and survive in space, live without almost any food or sleep at all, grants a cosmic consciousness, and to absorb almost any energy and redirect it as a weapon. Created by the Kree and used by very few, they make the user a sort of sage-like tank that's, again, almost invulnerable. All Black the Necro Sword is the 5th most deadly, but also the number 1 most metal weapon. The Necro Sword! It screams heavy metal, but it's a weapon that's almost definitely some kind of liquid. At the beginning of Jason Aaron's Thor run, Gorr is a being that stole the weapon of a god, like Thor, after it destroyed his planet and his family. Gorr used the Necro Sword to slay the gods of all pantheons across all of reality and all of time. It takes Thor and a past and future version of himself to even come close to stopping Gorr and destroying his incredibly powerful weapon, which they don't manage to. And even then, they're still barely able to stop him, with 3 Thors. In DC Comics, the Power Ring is supposed to be the ultimate weapon in the universe, but I say, not quite. It's powerful, sure, and it allows the user, a sentient being of pretty much any species, even a cat, to create hard-like constructs that are pretty much limited only by their imagination and the emotion that fuels that particular kind of ring. But it is limited. It's usually not shown actually killing other beings most of the time, maybe because that's DC, but the rings, red, green, blue, whatever color, they work in vastly different ways, to vastly different effects. Alright, now it's time to get into the real meat and potatoes of this stuff here. This one might not be the most powerful, but it is 100% my favorite, the Ultimate Nullifier. First off, Johnny Storm just straight up ganked this thing from Uatu the Watcher's crib, and then rolled straight back to the Baxter building like, hey, check this shit out, Reed. And Reed was like, oh shit, put that down, Johnny, you're gonna erase your ass from history. And Johnny's like just my ass? Oh, that's funny, that would be cool. And then Reed's like, no, seriously, put it down. The Ultimate Nullifier first appeared in Fantastic Four number 50 in 1966. It's a weapon that, when deployed, will actually erase the target, not just disintegrating them, but removing them from having ever existed in anyone's memory of them ever. That's cold-blooded! It's the only weapon that's ever made Galactus actually scared. I mean, maybe the Necro Sword a little, but this actually freaked him out. And for good reason, too. Imagine how different the history of the Marvel Universe would be if you removed Galactus from it, and now suddenly billions of planets with billions of civilizations that exist still that shouldn't have after you destroyed them. What would things be like? Nothing would ever be the same. Actually, Al Ewing, if you're watching, you're not watching, that would be a great Ultimates arc. Even more powerful than the Ultimate Nullifier is the Infinity Gauntlet in Marvel. When all 6 Infinity Gems are united, the holder is able to manifest the Infinity Gauntlet, which allows them to manipulate almost anything in reality, giving them nearly omnipotent godlike power. Thanos notably seeks the Infinity Gauntlet in the 1990s Infinity Gauntlet storyline. Then he actually gets it, kills almost everyone in existence, only to have it taken back from him by pretty much everyone else left. Tied for 2 with the Infinity Gauntlet is the Anti-Life Equation in DC. It has slightly different properties, but almost the same effect. It's basically a mathematical proof of the futility of existence that can be understood by sentient life. The dark side of Apocalypse seeks it, as it will give him essentially omnipotent power as well, simultaneously brainwashing people and allowing him to make all life his slave. It's not quite as cool as the Infinity Gauntlet, but it's on the same level, I guess. Oh yes, it's the grandmothers of them all, tied for number 1, the Cosmic Cube and the Miracle Machine. Why? Because they're essentially the same damn thing. The cosmic cube was first introduced in Tales of Suspense in 1966. It's a cube of cosmic power. Anyway, it responds to the user's thoughts and wishes and can alter reality and grant essentially any thought that the user has at all. Melt that guy's face, exterminate this species, blow up this planet, erase this, that, or the other thing. Any kind of thought from anybody's mind, that kind of bonkers stuff. A cube, yes, there's several, was used by Maria Hill to recently create a pocket universe called Pleasant Hill. It was a quaint, neat little small town where supervillains are kept imprisoned more or less with quaint small town identities that they themselves aren't aware of. Needless to say, it ended very badly. And DC's Miracle Machine is essentially the same thing. It was created by beings similar to the Guardians called the Controllers, who in turn brought it to the 30th century with the Legion of Superheroes. It's been able to do, well, pretty much anything that a writer needs it to do, and although one time Darkseid did describe it as a cargo cult mother box, it's been shown to be able to do substantially more than any kind of mother box can actually do. By the way, the mother box didn't actually make the list because it's more of a tool. The Miracle Machine responds to the faintest whim of virtually anyone around it, manifesting their tiniest wish. Because of that, they keep it off almost all of the time. Because as you can understand, it could be incredibly dangerous. In Final Crisis, Brainiac 5 allows Superman to actually look at it, memorize the schematics, and then go build one in the 21st century because he's the only person that Brainiac actually decides that he could possibly trust with the design of a machine that could do the things that it can actually do. And with it, Superman decides to go and remake the entire universe without Darkseid in it, which is a pretty bold thing to do. Considering the fact that Batman wasn't able to kill Darkseid with a gun in that, yeah, it's a pretty bold thing to do. Anyway, then Flashpoint happened, and it completely undid the universe without Darkseid, and then, hey, there's Darkseid again! Yeah, anyway, basically Flash can do anything he wants, and he's the best, thanks, bye! Thanks once again to Capes Cafe for their continued sponsorship of A Bearded Nerd in His Basement. Come see us and talk to us on July the 30th at Adventureland Inn for MiniCon, part of Iowa Comic Book Club's 2 different cons that they put on every year. I'll interview some local talent, and you, yes you, could even take part in a trivia contest for some tiny little prizes. Maybe even no prizes. I don't know. I won a whole bunch of them back in the 80s. Thanks everybody, we'll see you later.